Hello, everybody. The dulcet tones. So, welcome to what is now the 8th episode of the Made in Dreams podcast. I'm your host, Mighty Vicious, here with Jammy James, of course, and our special guest today, ladies and gentlemen, is RBD Jellyfish.
Da-ba-da-ba-ba.
Yeah, don't mess around. He will jelly fist as well. So, look, we usually take a little bit of time before, but we're going to jump right in today. We're going to jump right in. Introduce yourself to the people. Tell us all about you. Let us know what's really good.
Oh, man. So I'm RBD Jellyfish. Where do I even start? I've been in Dreams since the beta, like the very first wave of the beta, but even like way before that, I've been a game development hobbyist since I was in like the 4th grade, I guess, and I'm like 26 now. But I guess if we want to go that far back, do you want me to just lay out my entire life story about how I got into game dev?
I'm down for it.
Yeah, let's go.
When I was like really little, like even before like the 4th grade stuff I really started, I think like in the 1st grade was when I started coming up with ideas for my own games. I was like, I like anyone else, I just really liked video games, and some of them inspired me, like Spyro and Crash and Ape Escape and stuff like that. And so I'd like write stories and draw pictures of all this stuff all the time, of like game ideas, but I wasn't technologically literate. I couldn't actually like make a game back then. I had no idea where I'd even start, like to the point where I never even considered it a possibility that I could ever make my own game, because it was just so like far out there. But way back then, like I was way too young to go on the internet also, but my stepdad used to go on the internet and like download demos for games that he thought I would like to play. And like I have this vivid memory of like being in a car with him one day, and he was telling me what demos he downloaded one day, and he was like, and I downloaded this and this and this, and I also downloaded this software that lets you make your own games. And when I heard him say that, I was just like, what? That's a thing? Like I can do that? So I like rushed home. It's called Game Maker, by the way, I think.
Yes.
Game Maker. It's still a thing. So I downloaded Game Maker. But me being in the 4th grade and not really knowing how to use computers very well, I just had no idea where to start. Like I didn't know how to use it. I had no intuition for like how to even figure out how to use something like this that didn't come with a physical instruction manual I could read. So pretty much for weeks, I would just brute force trying to figure out how to use this thing, and it was grueling. And like it was so frustrating, but I wanted so badly to figure out how to make games that I just stuck with it. And eventually I made something. It's like a maze game where you move a little teddy bear through a maze. That was it. I was so excited. And then from there, I just like, over the years, I just figured out more and more with Game Maker. I got into a comp sci academy in high school, so I learned how to properly program there. I picked up XNA, which is another game making framework, like near the end of high school, and I made a couple things. Then in college, I joined a game dev club. I made more things. I learned Unity and Unreal. I published a few games on Steam. By a few, I mean like literally 2. And
it's 2 more than me, bro.
Well, yeah, and like One Little Big Planet came out. I got really into that as well. That kind of replaced Game Maker for me for a while. Between like Game Maker and XNA, it was pretty much LBP all the time. And then, and then Dreams came out. In college, I think the point where I'd say like I started to take game dev a little bit more seriously was like my 2nd year in college. So around like 2014, I was making like a fighting game called Broken Bones, and it was completely physics based. It was like every limb on your character was its own little separate object that was bolted like to the joints, and the way it was animated was like completely programmatically. So like I didn't use any animation software. I literally in code said like if you're walking, like angle your knee joint to this position over this amount of time, and then after that's done, then angle it to this position in this amount of time, and then it would do this walk animation. And
So
the
you
cool
made
thing
your
was,
computer play QWOP.
pretty much. It was a lot easier than QWOP, but it was pretty much QWOP. But yeah, the cool thing about the fighting game was that like you could, whenever you attacked people, the individual limbs would take damage, and then when they took enough damage, they'd just fall off. So if you lost your arms, you couldn't punch anymore. If you lost your legs, you just had to like basically hop around because you couldn't walk.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I really want to play this now.
It's like QWOP mixed with Bushido Blade.
it
Like-
was pretty fun, but it was like looking back, it's a little janky. But like if you had 4 people, it also had local multiplayer. So if you had 4 people like all mashing buttons at each other, it was really funny.
Is this
it was
still
pretty fun.
available?
I mean, since it was XNA and it was dead, or XNA is dead now, I don't know if it's still playable, but like it's on, if you go to tadcordal.github.io, it's on there somewhere.
Huh.
Interesting.
You can download it. But yeah, it's XNA, and XNA has all these weird dependencies, so I don't know. I don't know if it'll work.
Oh, I'll be sure to try that out later.
Yeah. That was like my first serious sort of thing where I sort of took the game design seriously. Everything before that I made in Game Maker since I was really young, I just like, I was happy with it, but then whenever anyone else played it, they were just like, I don't get it. This isn't good.
Yeah.
So you say you're a hobbyist, and I'm like just looking at the stuff you've done in Dreams. It seems like you have reached a level that you can get into the gaming industry. Like, is it just not that big of an interest, or is it kind of like I don't know. Like, is it more of a, I want to keep this something that I do in my own time for me, or are you in the industry?
It's mostly that, like, I want it to be my own thing. I think if I worked for a studio, so my options would either be I work for a studio or I form my own studio. And the first one, I'd have to be working for someone, and it'd be kind of their own design, and I feel like I wouldn't, especially starting out, I wouldn't have a lot of creative input. Maybe depending on like the studio, I don't know. But from what I gathered, like in my early days where I was thinking maybe I could do a career in game dev, that's what I gathered. Like I wouldn't be able to I feel like it'd be really frustrating if I had to work for someone in games. And then if I form my own studio, like then I have all the creative freedom in the world, but there's a lot of stress like related to that, because then you have to be profitable. There's just no like job security there, I think.
Yeah, I get that. So, does your, I mean, I'm not trying to pry into all of your life. I just want your social security number. No, I'm just playing. But like, does your normal job, or does your job basically mix in any of these things that you obviously have a lot of passion for?
Yeah, I'm a software engineer, so I do program all day. It's just not games. It's like I'm kind of on an infrastructure role at the company I'm on, so I'm basically keeping things alive behind the scenes is the best way I can describe it.
Yeah.
All right.
So, all right, I have. I want to open up the questions with something real basic. What is the idea behind your tag RBD Jellyfish?
It used to, so the RBD, it used to be Rabid Jellyfish. I got rid of the A and the I at some point. I think RBD Jellyfish was taken on a website one day, and I went with RBD Jellyfish, and I just thought it was more aesthetically pleasing, so I stuck with that. uh, but like the reason I chose RBD Jellyfish was because like when I was a lot younger, it's kind of a silly story. When I was younger, I had like much longer hair, uh, like down to like here.
Mm-hmm.
And one day my friends noticed that when I was running in like gym class, my hair would like go up and down like a jellyfish.
Ah, okay.
So I got the jellyfish from that. And I started to use just jellyfish for things. But then one of my friends was like, that's not creative enough. Like you need something unique like RBD Jellyfish. I was like, okay, I'll use RBD Jellyfish, I guess.
Yeah.
And thankfully, yeah, it wasn't like that was in like middle school, so thankfully I didn't pick like a cringy online name that I was stuck with for the rest of my life. I still like it.
Like
I
Vegeta
find
X666.
Yeah.
I always find it interesting to find out where people's gamer tags come from. There's always a funny story behind them.
Yeah.
Always. So, I mean, I'm just gonna, if you don't mind, Will, I'm just gonna jump right in.
I don't mind.
With some burning questions I have.
Go for it.
First of all, your work is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
When I've played pretty much everything you've created on Dreams, and I am blown away with the quality, and more so with your mechanics than anything else. I find your mechanics to be crazy. I don't know how you do it, and the first thing I want to touch on is a little perspective.
Mhm.
I mean, when I saw that and I played it for the first time, I was absolutely gobsmacked. It's such a simplistic idea, but it's executed so well. It becomes so much more than what it is. And how did you come up with the idea, and how did you execute it the way you've done within Dreams? I mean, it must have been extremely difficult to pull off that sort of perceptional vision that you've made with that game.
And polish.
I mean, the reason I made it was because I figured out how to. It's kind of in reverse. Usually I come up with a game idea and then I make the logic to fit the game idea. In this case, I figured out the logic before I figured out what kind of game I was going to make. Because have you heard of the game Echo Chrome? It's this old like PS3 game. You have this little mannequin walking around. And it has like a similar. You have this camera that you can rotate around the level, and you can like bridge gaps by just like lining the perspective up right. So it's very similar to a little perspective in that way. But yeah, I was thinking about. I think I was just bored at work one day, and I was thinking about like how would you even program something like that? Like it doesn't spatially make any sense. So like just technically where do you even start? So I was sitting there thinking about like different ideas. And one of the ideas I came up with involved, I was thinking like, oh, if it all revolves around like what you can see and completely ignores any sort of like spatial consistency, then like the way to do that is to simulate your own eyesight and use that to check to see what's possible. So like, how do you do that? Well, you could like raycast from the camera. Like if you have a camera floating up in space, you can just point lasers down at the level to see like where certain things are visually. And I was like, wait, I could totally do that in Dreams because Dreams has a camera gadget and it has a laser scope. And then, you know, I can probably figure out how to make the movement work with teleporters. So then when I had that idea, I was like, well, now I kind of want to try that in Dreams. And so I started out making like the basic mechanics, and then so I made the player that like moves around, and had all the perspective stuff working. But then some stuff came out of that, like as a consequence that I didn't originally design in. It was just from messing around that I'd like discovered these new mechanics. Like for example, at one part of the game, there are it's not just like you rotate the camera and bridge gaps. At a certain point, if you rotate the camera and it looks like there's a block blocking you, then it will block you. And like, I didn't originally plan for that to happen, but because of the way my logic worked, it just kind of did.
Ah, okay. Because
Yeah.
that was the next thing I was going to mention, is that particular mechanic in particular was extremely clever. And I didn't know how you managed to do that, because obviously when you turn, that barrier is no longer there. So how did, like, I was going to ask, like, how have you incorporated that blocking mechanic when, you know, the perception changes? It must switch it off, and I didn't know how it worked. But it's crazy to hear that, you know, that was just not planned at all, and it just happened.
Yeah, it was just like I'm pointing lasers from the camera to see where the floor is, and if it hits a wall before it hits the floor, then it can't see the floor, so you can't move there. And so that's like kind of how that came to be. At first, like, my initial instinct too was like, oh, this is a bug. Like, my ID is not going to work at all. Oh no, I have to think of something different. But then I was like, wait, no, this is totally consistent with everything. Like, I'm just going to design levels with this.
It's crazy.
And
I can't even think about logic the way you're explaining it. Like, I'm just the people in chat are making fun of my face, because I'm just, while you're talking about this, I'm just like, what Illuminati magic is this dude talking? Like, it's like, I get what you're saying. I follow the language, but like the way you're breaking it down, just it really reveals the like chasm between your understanding of logic and my no understanding of logic. But I mean, I agree that what you pulled off, especially in that game, was that kind of like you had said your first game was I don't think you said similar, but it reminded me of it, like kind of like this was kind of like a spiritual sequel, the one where you said you were like carrying around a teddy bear, I think.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Yeah. Like, for some reason, when you said that, I immediately started thinking of this game, and I was like, I wonder if they were similar in that aspect at all. Were they? Or am I just drawing lines in the sky because I have no idea what is happening? No.
I mean, it's kind of funny because at a high level, like, yeah, they're both about navigating, like, through spaces. It's just, the first one was literally just a maze, like a 2D maze. And this is like 3D weird perspective trippy stuff. It's like, I wouldn't have originally made that connection until you did just now. But yeah.
That's will for you.
Yeah, that's. I mean, hey, it just, maybe it's me trying to, always enforce a story, but yeah, it immediately, when you brought it up and was talking about the first game, I was like, I wonder if that's like the spiritual, but if not, or whatever, yeah. But
we could go with that. I like the storyline.
Awesome,
like 16
awesome.
years ago,
I'm contributing.
Games, I wanted to do justice with my very first idea, and so I came back to it.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yes.
Major comeback story.
Major comeback. Now, are we gonna get your fighter redone in Dreams?
Yes.
I mean, I'm working on something.
Uh-oh.
It's not. I mean, it's still a stretch. It's not like a physics-based fighting game, but it is kind of a fighting game.
Interesting.
Yeah. I mean, anything else you can tell us? Anything you want to give us?
It's very silly. I posted a clip of it on Twitter like a month ago or something. It's like, so it has a bunch of puppets and their arms are all stretched out like this, and their entire upper half is spinning. So they're like basically propellers running around, and you have to like run into each other and knock each other off the stage.
I saw that.
Yeah,
I was just going
that.
to Twitter to make sure I saw it, but yeah, I did see that.
Yeah, so I've been working on that. I like the gameplay is pretty close to done, I think, but I have to do all the boring stuff like menus and yeah, menus.
I wouldn't call that boring. I mean, on our project Zero that we're working on, I find all that stuff interesting. Like, I think there's so much you can do with it than it just be a boring menu. You know, I've seen some really clever creations where the menu is pretty much the game. You know, you can do some interesting stuff with menus.
Yeah,
But that's just me. I like all the little things.
Yeah,
I like
go ahead.
I like making gameplay. Whenever it comes to like menu design, or I wish people could just boot up the game and just start playing it, but I don't know, it doesn't always work like that. So I don't know, it feels like a little bit of a slog to me usually when I have to make a menu, but I guess it's necessary.
See, I'm like him. I enjoy, even though I don't know what I'm looking at, like I enjoy seeing people who are just like creating brains and logic. And like, you know, you see their work and you're just lost from, well, not you, of course, but me. I'm lost from the get-go, and it's just wires coming out of everywhere, and I'm like, I don't even know where that wire goes, and I try to follow it, I get lost. It's just a bowl of spaghetti. So like, I love it, but it would literally have to be dumbed down to like if-then statements. Like, and I feel like that's what it is at its base, but it's like I don't understand the if or the then in what I'm being shown.
A lot of it like builds on itself though. Like when you're watching a streamer who's doing all this crazy logic stuff, for them they started out on a blank canvas and they made something really simple, and then they play tested it, and then they're like, okay, I gotta add another little piece to it. So then they add another little piece to it, and like every time they add another little piece, they remember where they came from, and it's sort of this like iterative knowledge that they're forming. So then when you see them open it up and it's this mass of spaghetti, to them it's something totally understandable because like they built up to that point.
Yeah.
That same person could look at someone else's spaghetti and see exactly what you see. It's just a bunch of spaghetti. But for their own spaghetti, it's like totally like they made every little piece of that, so they're able to follow it.
I like this. We can continue with the spaghetti talk. I do. I like it. So, Well, go ahead. Sorry to continue, Jamie, because I know you said you had quite a few.
I do. So moving on from a little perspective, otherwise I'll end up talking about that for the entire podcast. I don't want to bore people with it. Gold Valley.
I mean, before that, I could just say I made a video explaining like how a little perspective works. So if you like, we're moving on to that, but people still want to know like how, like in more detail, how all that works, you can go to like my YouTube, and I think it's titled like how I made Echochrome like gameplay in dreams or something. If you just search for that, then yeah, I break it all down.
Oh well, I'll make sure to give that a watch and not understand any of it.
I tried to make it understandable, but
so Gold Valley, the series, again, I think you must have some passion for puzzle games, because it seems to be that is your thing. Do you have like a history with puzzle games? Because it seems that within the Dreamiverse, that is pretty much the subject that you kind of stick to.
When I was like first getting into like, so I said in college I started getting into like game design a little bit more seriously. Like I was paying closer attention to like before that, I guess I was more of a programmer. I just liked implementing the different mechanics and stuff. I didn't really think about how it played, like how the end user felt. And sort of halfway through college, I started paying more attention to that kind of stuff. And I'd watch like game design lectures, and some of them that like really resonated me were focused on puzzles, because puzzles are really good at communicating sort of abstract ideas without actually like putting them into words. Like a really good example of that is the game The Witness, which like I have a bunch of like printout canvases hanging on my walls of puzzles from that game. But yeah, I just think they're neat. So like after Broken Bones, the next game I made was a puzzle game called Hubots, and it's like a top-down grid-based game where you make little colored robots, and they only interact with things that match their color. And it had like a whole bunch of levels. And when I was making that, I just had like a ton of fun designing the puzzles. So yeah, I feel like making puzzle games is kind of like my comfort zone at the moment. I have the most experience with it, and I enjoy it the most. I've tried to branch out more in dreams, like with the silly stuff I make, and I have some combat and some like stealth and like I don't know. But puzzles are what I always go back to. I just like them the most.
I mean, I tried. I mean, I've played the majority of your Gold Valley series, but your latest one, which I believe is Gold Valley 4.
Yeah.
I loaded that up and I looked at the first puzzle, and I was there for a good 20 minutes just trying to figure it out. I was like, okay, so what does this want me to do? It wants me to take these sentences and look at the first one, and okay, that's what that does, but there's missing parts. And then I got to like the next section, and I was like, you know what? I've been here for 25 minutes and I haven't done anything. I am out. This is too difficult for me.
Yeah, I might have gone overboard.
So elaborate. It's just absolute. I don't know where your mind goes like to do these. And I take my hat off to anybody that can play that and just be like, got it. I know what to do.
I think Gold Valley 4 is like definitely the hardest one. I like kind of designed myself into a corner there because of the way 3 ended. Because like it has a big, I mean, spoiler alert, it has like the big talking head that says all the gibberish.
Yeah.
Like, oh, the next game, that sets me up for a puzzle mechanic. I can just make the next game about translating the gibberish. But then, like, it seems like a lot of people have a lot of trouble with that. So
yeah, I'm one of those people.
I'm trying to think of a way that like people, without like making it easier to like let people continue on with the story without having to like go, because translating all that stuff is like really, it's kind of grueling, not gonna lie.
Well, but I didn't get past 1. I gave up. I was just like, this is going on for too long.
Yeah.
So, question. There was, I don't know if anyone remembers this, and to be fair, I barely do, but there was a game that was released by like, there was some like bio lab, and they were trying to find how to make a, basically how to make a bonding agent that would help people basically beat this virus or germ or whatever. And they made like a little game for it, or people took it as a game. And like some kid like got an honorary mention at MIT or whatever because he figured out like this highly scientifical thing using the game. And I was wondering, does stuff like that interest you because of what y'all were just talking about with puzzles and how hard that one was? Like, I've always thought that there's this, like, the world, hear me out. I know I'm about to start sounding kind of preachy, but I feel like a lot of the problems in the world are solvable, just not by the people looking at them, if you get what I mean. So it's like if the scientists were looking at it, and apparently they've been trying to figure this bonding agent or whatever it was out for like years, and some kid cracked it in like 2 weeks after they put out this game. And I was wondering, like, do you think more people should do that, and would that interest you if you were to take like some way to make a game version of like some mathematical unsolvable problem, and then just see if someone was able to solve it?
I think games really have, I mean, it's proven, like you said, that, you know, video games helped these scientists solve this really complicated problem in like not a lot of time at all. Like video games have so much more potential than I think a lot of people expect them to have. I feel like a lot of games just try to be movies, and they don't try to be a lot more than that. But I think there's so much potential about games like being a better path with education, or like, you know, like you said, crowdsourcing, solving these really difficult problems, or you know, like, you know, I talked about The Witness before and those puzzles hanging on my wall. Like, there's not a word of text in that game about how to solve any of the puzzles, but by the end you're like, without anything being directly explained to you, you're able to figure out like what all these different symbols mean, what their arrangement actually implies about like what the solution is going to look like. And it's like, if a video game can do that, if you can just learn all these abstract concepts just by playing a game without anybody like sitting there lecturing you, like imagine what it could do with a real world like subject, like circuits or math or like, I don't know.
Yeah, just everything. Really, when it goes, because I mean, I just feel like certain people, just like logic in its nature makes sense to you. It doesn't make any sense to me, but I like to find the threads to things. Like, that's how my mind works. I just can't find any threads in the logic on dreams. So,
but that's the thing, though, isn't it? I mean, I've spoken to multiple people that have never delved into sort of game code or any type of code before, any type of logical mechanical systems, but they've got dreams and got into the logic system. And because the logic is based on the principles of basically code, you know, they're able to take that knowledge that they've learned from dreams and translate that into something like a conventional game engine. Well, albeit it's not the same, but the principles are still there. So that in itself is like a game learning how to use the logic, and they're getting real life knowledge from it that they can use outside of dreams. So there is definitely room, I believe, you know, for gaming to become a platform for learning.
Yeah, definitely.
I'm trying not to get political, like, or too serious.
I mean, I was about to say that it's a big sort of political thing. Like, I think we can't just go to all these schools and say, hey, replace your curriculum with a bunch of video games.
Yeah.
The kids will be fine. Like, just trust us. Like, there's a lot that needs to happen before we get anywhere close to that. But
I do feel like
it has already happened. At least it did in here, in England, a while back when the Nintendo DS became a thing. And do you guys remember the brain training game?
Yeah.
I can't remember the full name, but you know, that Chinese dude, whatever his name was.
It's a Nintendo. It's probably called Brain Train or something.
Yeah, it's something to that effect. Whatever it is. Well, here in England, the school board bought thousands of DSs with this brain training game and put it on their curriculum to see if learning through a video game would improve their learning skills, because in the child's brain, they're not actually learning, they're playing a game, so that they would input the information differently. And it was a huge success. Their mathematical skills, their spelling skills, everything increased by like 25-30%, I believe. It was something ridiculous. And it's all down to the fact that their perception was that they was playing a game and just solving a game problem as opposed to solving real life mathematical problems.
But they didn't have me, because I would have made another connection. And because the connection that I feel, and I have there's no reason to take me seriously right now, but I feel like there's two things that are like the least evolved in human society is our government and our education. And I feel it's simply the fact of people being able to enjoy what they're doing. Like, if you give me, if like back in my day, old and long ago, you had the situation where like you had things like, you know, Oregon Trail or Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego, which helped me with geography. Why? Because I wasn't sitting in a room with someone like droning on. And, you know, there's studies that they've done, you know, that go into how many things we can pay attention to as opposed to older generations. And that number keeps basically evolving higher, and we're still using old methods. So, you know, it's like if you have a kid who can pay attention, like I think my generation we could pay attention to like 14 things at once. The generation before us was 3. God knows what the kids can pay attention to now with the internet. Like it's like 40 billion CUs. I mean, you know, so it's like, I think that is, in my mind, I think that's more of the reason you have that that spike, but I'm sure they're smarter than me and they probably looked at that number too. But it's just, like I always talk about how one of the least used genres in gaming and why I love Dreams so much is the basically educational gaming. And with Dreams, God, do you know what I would do if I was like 5 years old and I had dreams? Like, I'm not trying to sound like a salty boy right now, but as I was saying, like before, I didn't have like time, like when Little Big Planet was out. Like I was like more than reaching my adulthood, and so like when I hear all these like all the people, all the guests that we have on the show, and they're like, I got Little Big Planet when I was like 13. I'm like, oh God, never. But that's just random rant. But I do think educational gaming is huge, is a thing that's untapped, and it's things like Dreams that really show that to be the case. Like you can teach people crazy things.
Well, this is the thing. I know we have a guest on the show, but we've gone way off of base. But this is a really interesting topic, so I'm just going to delve in.
Yeah.
I really do believe that there is a place for dreams within a classroom area, I in an environment, especially like for colleges that are teaching game development. I mean, for me personally, Dreams is such an easier way into learning how to make games, because it's just a more interactable, friendly environment. I don't know. I mean, I've tried things like Unreal before, and it's just so overwhelming where there's so much you need to learn before you can even get started.
Yeah.
I mean, with Dreams, you could easily dive in with no tutorials and still come out with something an hour later. So I really think that Dreams has a place in a schooling environment, and I think in the future we will see sort of demonstrations with Dreams being used as sort of an introductory base into the gaming world, especially for teaching. I think there's definitely room for it, and I believe it's on Media Molecule's radar. I think that's something that they'd be very passionate about, because that's what Dreams is for anyway. It's to bring the gaming industry to people that don't necessarily have the skill set nor the ability to get into it.
Yeah.
So to bring that into a schooling environment, I think they're all over that, and I think it won't be long before we start seeing it being branched out into a curriculum.
I agree. But how do you feel about it, Jellyfish?
I mean, I agree too. I think Dreams could fit in the classroom. I don't know how, like, but at the same time, Dreams is so different from professional game development in a lot of ways, and that's because they like sort of, what's the expression? I can't think of the words I'm trying to think of, but like they wanted to make game development different. Like they wanted it to be accessible. They wanted to have all the tools in one place. They wanted it to be less like methodical and technical and more free form and more consistent with like your stream of thought. Or consistent was the wrong word, but whatever. But because of that, like because I came from like the boring, scary tools first and then came to Dreams, I don't know like how well it translates in reverse. I do know that like my experience with those tools going into Dreams, I knew like I picked them up like really fast. Like I think after like a few days of just messing around, I got started on the first Gold Valley, and I finished that in like less than a week. And that was like in the beta when there were no tutorials and stuff. So like my previous experience definitely helped, but I wonder how it is in reverse because things in Dreams are so different. Like I wonder if learning the basics in Dreams will end up learning like how to use professional tools more frustrating because it's like not as nice as Dreams. I don't know.
I think you could start off at a better place because while Dreams is made brilliantly, you know, to make it as streamlined as possible. There are still things as you said, like I've tried Unity, Unreal, Blender, like just through me while I was injured for like 2 months and in bed, I tried to pick up and learn Blender. I was watching everything on YouTube, and I I went away from it once Dreams kind of came out. But some of the things that I didn't understand in Blender, I know after just seeing people like work with some of the logic and the shaders and stuff like that in Dreams, it makes more sense to me now in Blender. So for certain, I think ultimately it's going to be a case by case basis when it gets to that conversation as to whether or not, you know, it can work in reverse. But I think any experience you have will translate in some way. Like I feel like even though I'm still not great at sculpting like as I am with like drawing or illustrating, but the more I see people do things, the more it makes sense to me in Dreams, but also still when I think back to Blender and how I was trying to use shapes and I was trying to do things. Like I think it can cross over. And just to point out with Vorium PSN said in chat where he said people said that Little Big Planet would be in schools, but that didn't quite happen. And as I replied to him there, I don't think thinking about that, I don't know why people thought Little Big Planet would end up in schools, but I feel like Dreams has a better chance of ending up in schools just because while it's streamlined, it's I don't know. I feel like you're always going to get that
LBP, right?
What'd you say?
It's a lot more flexible than LBP.
It's a lot more flexible, and it doesn't seem as initially childish.
Yeah, I can see that.
Like, and I always have to think of that first, that first impression that people get. Like, gamers and stuff, we were like, oh, Little Big Planet, this looks awesome. And some of you became goddamn rocket scientists, like playing that game. But like, I could see an adult looking at it, and especially in a boardroom with or in a conference and seeing the trailer for Little Big Planet and being like, what the hell? And just never paying it any more attention. Like you have that theme song, just going off, and I could see somebody being like, "Yeah, no, I don't think that's for." But when someone shows what's there for Dreams, I mean, it blows my mind every day. Dreams is the most humbling thing I've ever put my hands on. Because I'm just like, and it's not like a comparison thing. Like, I'm not as good as that person. But it's just like we always tout how great the community is. And everybody, if you didn't go and vote for our community on that thing that Media Molecule posted up on Twitter, go find that post, vote for our community. Because this is the nicest community I've ever come across. And I think with the regard that, like, with where our community is, I think we do have the ability to push it further into the public's eye. Like us more than maybe even Media Molecule. So, anyway.
Well, that's the plan.
Yeah.
But I mean, just to reiterate on this subject, I mean, for me personally, like with Lucid Nebula Studios and the project that we're working on, as all of you know, I'm the creative director of the studio and the project. So I don't actually touch any of the sculpting or the logic. I pretty much oversee the creation process of everything. And just through me seeing the team members that is on our studio building this game and explaining to me how things work and me share playing with them and watching how they've sculpted something or how the logic process works. I mean, just through physically seeing it, and I haven't physically done any of it. That to me, the experience that I've had from this project alone, I think I could go into something like Unreal or some other conventional engine and have a better understanding of the basics that need to be learned than I would have done 12 months ago.
Yeah.
I definitely think that the experiences that you have from dreams, whether you physically do it yourself or you're watching other people do it, because it's more entertaining in the fact that it's more visual and it's more of a cool thing, I suppose, than physically sitting down with a pen and paper to learn how to do something.
Yeah,
I
it's not
think
suffering from scratch.
I think it just sticks with you more. And like I really do believe if I went into another engine now, I would have a much more grounded understanding of how everything works because of the experience that I've had with our current project. So
Yeah.
with that in mind, I think like, if schools were to do like, game development 101 and they did a month introductory course of how gaming works by using dreams, I think that would really lean people into the idea much better because the spectrum is so broad with game development, as we all know. I didn't realize how much went into games until we started our own. I got to admit, I always had an understanding that, game development is a big thing. This is why it takes so long to make games. But once you've started your own project and you sort of get all these ideas out and they're like, oh, what if we did this? What if we did that? And then you get the people in that would actually make the logic for that. And they're like, okay, that's a great idea, but that's going to take 6 months to make in logic because this is how the process works. This is how this works. You get a much better understanding of how game development works. And I think that Dreams helps to minimize that scariness of such a large portion of things to learn because it's so visual and so interactive as opposed to a conventional engine. But that's just my thoughts. I think we need to move on from this subject, otherwise I'm going to speak about it for the next 2 hours.
I can tell you feel ways about them.
Yeah.
So
it's just the Dreams has done so much for me. I think it's just really opened my eyes to game development so much. And I never even considered pursuing a career in it, but it is something that I'm considering now because of the love that I have for our project and our virtual studio and what we're making. It really does open your eyes to be like, this is something that I'm really passionate about. And I think a lot of people have been like that since Dreams come out. I think they didn't realize how much they loved the idea of game development until they actually delved into it. And I think we'll see a lot of the top Dream creators move into proper game development outside of Dreams.
Yeah, as Del Real says in the, I always want to use your real name because I know who you are. No, he says it lets you focus more on learning techniques instead of learning to use a tool. And yeah, I agree.
That's a good way to put it.
Wholeheartedly. So to segue off of this topic before we keep going, RBD, should I say RBD or Rabbit? Should I say Rabbit? Are you Rabbit? Are you there? Yeah. So let me ask you, what do you see as, like, what's one thing that you want to see added to Dreams? And also, do you have an end game for Dreams?
Ooh, that's a good question.
So like added like a feature or something?
Sure.
I think something that's like, I think a huge gaping hole in the logic system is like there's no way to dynamically change text, or like the ways you can do that are extremely like difficult. I feel like there needs to be like some kind of special fat wire that carries like a string of text or something, and have special gadgets that let you manipulate it, like change characters in it, or like, I mean, I don't know. I haven't thought too deeply about it, but it's just like whenever I want to, it would help a lot with like dialogue systems. And like if you have an RPG and you want to name your character or something and you want that name to show up everywhere else, like that's really annoying to do in Dreams right now. So just something like better variable options or like arrays or better string support, stuff like that, I feel like would really improve things.
Okay.
Oh, go ahead.
No. Keep going.
I was gonna move on to like the end goal thing.
Yeah.
You had something else to say?
No. Continue.
I mean, the end goal. Well, I don't really know. I guess like they've mentioned like a couple times about like maybe allowing people to sell their own dreams, and initially I was like very against that. I feel like dreams needs to be as open as possible.
Oh, you're delving into my territory now.
Yeah, well, 'cause the thing is like one of the best things about creating in dreams, they made it so like freeform compared to other game engines and stuff, that if you have some stupid crazy idea like that would probably never sell anywhere, it doesn't matter. You can just make the craziest idea you want in dreams, because it's so easy to just like slap something together and publish it, and people can play it and experience it, and that's great. Like you don't have to think too hard about how people will receive it, and I think that's something that's great about dreams. I think the moment you attach a price tag to things, people will be afraid of being too creative, and they're going to be like, well, what do people want? People want more like shooters. If I make this too weird or something, like that's going to turn people off, and I'm not going to make as much money. I'm going to take this weird thing out of the game, and I'm going to kind of like sand it down until it's like kind of just a gray blob of something forgettable. I don't know. Like, so that's how I always felt about it. But like, I think something that'll make dreams really good is having these big long form projects that people spend a lot of time on and form teams around, and like those are going to be the most high quality things, but there isn't a lot of incentive to spend that much time on something, because like, yeah, like people are going to play it and give you nice feedback, and like there's the fun of creating it, but you know, like we would see more high quality things, I think, if people could sell them. I just don't know how that would work out. I think they'd need the things that could be sold, I think would have to be like really heavily curated, or you'd have to work like directly with Media Molecule or something.
Absolutely.
Dreams Plus.
But I think that is an option that should be explored, because you know there is creators on Dreams that are creating serious games, and they're using Dreams as a platform to create these sort of amazing titles that they wouldn't necessarily have created without Dreams, because as we know, Dreams is just so much easier to work with.
Yeah.
And I believe that those type of people that are creating these top quality games that could be played outside of Dreams and would have a market for, I think they should at least have the opportunity to do so. Because Dreams is a creative platform, and yes, Dreams is Dreams, but I feel that if you've made this amazing AAA style game that's got a 25-hour campaign with voice acting and loads of cinematography, and it's just a beautiful piece of work, for it to be completely restricted to the Dreamiverse is such a shame. And it goes against the grain that is the philosophy of Dreams, is to create, play, and share.
So Andy-san in chat said, what if you could sell it besides Dreams and have it for free if you have Dreams? Seems dumb, but I feel like that could be how it could work for consumers. So if you own Dreams, you play it for free. But if you don't own Dreams, then you can still pay for the game to be played outside of Dreams. Out of all the things we've talked about, I don't think anyone's brought that up yet.
That is a very, very clever idea.
I don't know, like, I mean, I'm thinking like, would that work? Because I mean, just buying Dreams is clearly the better deal. Because at what point, like, if you buy, like, how many individual games would you have to buy before it surpasses the cost of Dreams itself? Like 4? I don't know.
But that would be down to the consumer.
Yeah. But like the consumer is gonna say, okay, if I want to buy more, like I could buy one Dreams game for like $5 or whatever, or I could buy Dreams for $20 and get every creation that's ever going to come out of it. And it's like, clearly that's the better option. And then the people who are selling their Dreams don't like get a penny of that. So I don't know.
Because I immediately, when I first read that, started thinking of it as like the Apple app service thing, where it's like Dreams itself becomes the store, and it's like you have, like you said, the highly curated things, like things that are actually kind of get the stamp of approval. Like with Apple, you have to get their stamp of approval before you can sell anything on their store. So it's like Dreams becoming that, where it's like Media Molecule can say, that is, awesome. You can purchase that, but still have this other section filled with memes that people get that people can like just get in Dreams. Like you do have access to and can play, but there's just that next tier. That's the first thought I had when I read that breakdown of possibly having the outside sales. But I do agree with you. There does come a point where it's like, as the game gets cheaper, like that would become
I see it, but personally for myself, I mean, I can't speak for every other dreamer out there, but I mean, even if we had the option to export the game outside of Dreams so that it could, be an executable file that could then be uploaded onto Steam and just a PlayStation Network and it could go to all these other platforms, even if the rule was, okay, you can do that, providing it meets a certain criteria, plus the game has to be free, I'd be happy with that, because at the end of the day, you're just branching out your amazing creation to a whole other community. You never went in with the intention to create money off of it in the first place, but otherwise you wouldn't be building it in Dreams. You would be using Unreal. So, even if it came to the point where you could do it, but you wasn't allowed to make money off of it, I'd even be happy with that. It's just the fact of being able to get your creation out to a wider audience. Because, as big as Dreams is, it's a very closed off community. And unless you're part of it, you don't know anything that's going on inside it. The outside world of Dreams, people, they're just making weird games. They don't see the beautiful pieces of art that come out of Dreams because they're not part of it. And that's such a shame with Dreams. That's one thing that really annoys me is this community is so great and there's so many good creators out there and there's such good content, but no one sees it because it is a really tightly knitted, shut off community.
I do agree. Like I feel like Media Molecule didn't really have a choice. Like I think they needed Sony to help them make this happen, but it is kind of unfortunate that Dreams is locked to PlayStation given the potential. Like I do agree. I would love to export my stuff and have anybody be able to play it.
Well, I mean, like for your game, a little perspective. I mean, that is an ideal mobile platform for it. I mean, I could definitely see that ranking up in the top 10 charts of mobile games. The controls is super easy to do with sliding just your thumb on the screen. It would fit perfectly. And the fact that you can't, to me, is such a shame. And it really does go against the whole create, share, play thing that Media Molecule thrive from.
Yeah, and I I've been in a little bit of a lull recently with Dreams. Like I said, I don't remember if I said it on the podcast or if I said it before, but like I was a little burnt out after a little perspective, and I've been kind of on and off with Dreams since then. But I have another idea that I've been planning out that's going to be like huge. But I'm like, do I want to make something this ambitious in Dreams? Like, is it, if I'm going to be locked to this platform, is it even worth making something this massive and ambitious? Like,
I think you would have to just trust in what Dreams would become. Like to really, because I mean, right now, if you have the skill outside of Dreams to do it. So, I mean, it's kind of like a why not? But,
absolutely.
But at the same time, I can imagine some who don't have that skill, but are blowing people's minds on Dreams, are trusting in the idea that Dreams will become the thing that can get them the exposure they deserve for a well-tuned product. So, I think I get you, and it's a timing thing, and I think it's honestly a platform thing for the individual because you know the my whole thing film. Okay, so I was able to make something, and then I wasn't actually able to put it up in Dreams, and I had to do it outside of Dreams. But my end game is purely being able to do it at all. And I would not have been able to do that even to that quality in Blender. Even though Blender is very much capable of it, I'm not capable of it. So for me, with as good as everything is getting and people coming to understand and Media Molecule seeing things done and being like, holy hell, and like bringing in new talent to, keep the game itself growing. I don't know. I feel like, for most people who don't have that base like you do, I feel like they kind of just have to trust that it'll get there. And I would say, yeah, and I would say, how much do you like, because if it's easier for someone like me, then would it be easier to make in Dreams? Like this game that you're working on, or is it all the same to you? Like it doesn't matter what you use, you're just awesome everywhere.
That's it. Well, I mean, I don't want to agree with that, but I mean, for me, it's like I have the base from all the stuff I learned before Dreams, but it's just like Dreams is so much more fun to use that I don't want to go back to that, right? Like if I had the choice, I would love to use Dreams for everything. Mm-hmm. It's like I kind of brushed over it, but like before Dreams came out, I was working on like another puzzle game in Unreal Engine.
Oh, that's right. Yes. Is it Sensorium?
Yeah, I just released that like a month ago.
Yeah, we haven't talked about that yet.
I started it in like 2016, and it didn't need to take as long as it did because the Dreams beta came out in 2018, I think. But yeah, I think, yeah. So the Dreams beta came out and I started playing around with that. And I was just like, this is just so much better. I don't even want to work on Sensorium anymore. And so like Sensorium just kind of sat there for a little while. Yeah.
So that was going to be my next question is your experience in creating Sensorium against creating the puzzle games that you've made in Dreams, was there, by the sounds of things there was, but was there a significant difference in your developing style and your attitude towards creating between the two different platforms?
Yeah. Like Unreal Engine has this structure to it. I guess most engines have like a certain rigid structure to it. And if you don't do things the way the engine wants you to do it, then you kind of have to fight the engine, it feels like. With Dreams, it's like a lot of the things that are like such a major headache in Unreal. In Dreams, you can just like take a wire from one thing and drag it over somewhere else and hook it up, and it's like you're done. It's like there are no barriers between anything you make in Dreams. With Unreal, it's like, if you want to learn the basics, like you have to learn how to use the level editor, you need a code editor, you need software to make 3D models, you need software to make textures, you need like, I don't know, if you have to market it, you have to figure out how to do that. And you have to learn all these different areas separately. They all have different interfaces, different workflows. It's just all completely like, and they don't necessarily interact well with each other either. Like,
really? Sounds very convoluted.
I mean, coming from Dreams, it's like it feels a lot more convoluted than it needs to be now. But that's not really true because I don't really know how to explain it. It's just like Dreams removes so many barriers that you wouldn't think are necessary. And I don't know. My train of thought is
I mean, I think I get where you're going with it though. Like I think you've explained it as well as you need to, but I feel like, and I'm not going to get into the whole Dreams on PC conversation,
Oh
but
no, let's not go there.
but no, we're not. We're not. But I do feel like Dreams has the potential, in my mind, to completely dominate the market. All of it. Unreal, all of it. I think it has
Really?
I really do. Because of those
I would
but
disagree with you on that.
because those barriers. Well, I would direct you to Martin Nebelong and him remaking the Unreal Engine. But no,
Yes,
I'm just playing. I'm
I've
just
seen
playing.
it.
That was just a joke. But I do believe it has the possibility because of what RBD is talking about. Like, if it has to stay on PlayStation, no, I don't see this. I don't see this as the same. But I do feel like it has the ability to actually outgrow PlayStation. And if it
Oh
does,
yeah.
and if it does that, and you get the actual, you know, outside things helping it build, then I think it could overtake all of it simply because if they were to incorporate something from, say, Unreal, in my mind, I think they would whatever those walls are, like you said, where you want to do one thing, but that means you need these 18 other things. Like, if they could condense that all into the dreams equation, I think that's just the way it can literally surpass everything in my mind. The only thing it has to surpass now is Thermo. But if it gets outside of that and we start talking about what it could be without any of the shackles of it, like I said, we're not going to get into it, but the shackles of console.
We're getting into it now.
I feel like no, don't do it. No.
I agree with you. I agree with you. If Dreams were to come out on PC, yes, it could be a lot bigger than it is, but I still don't think that it would surpass Unreal by any means necessary. I feel the style of Dreams and the way that Dreams works. I mean, you're never going to get the graphical fidelity that you can with Unreal. I mean, bad Robo stuff aside, you know,
what it grows into, you could. But what I'm saying is the only reason that I think you're correct right now. But what I'm talking about is when we see the end of that 10-year plan that is Dreams, if it grows outside of the PlayStation, like outside of the console, and you get the capabilities of, like, think if Dreams was Blender and you had all these people off to the side improving it and having to put it through.
It's like Captain Morgan just said.
Will there ever be a rework of the? And I think there could be, but like I said, it would just be people building things that they want instead of waiting for it to happen with their hands in prayer mode. But, like, I don't know. I just feel like there's a real good chance that if this were to not necessarily go open source, but kinda, and you had more than, like, you had the community building for it and not just the initial engineers of Media Molecule, this thing could turn into what Blender hopes to be and surpass it, and then surpass everything else. That's what I truly believe. Will it happen that way? Yeah, probably not. But I feel like there's that possibility. I really do.
I feel like an open source platform, I don't know. I think one of the best things about Dreams is how tightly designed it is. Like, everything works with everything. Like, you can tell why it took them however many years. 6-7 years. It's just like every little aspect of Dreams is so well thought out. If you just open it up to any sort of developer, like, that's slowly just going to get worse and worse and worse, and it's going to blow up into this overly complicated thing. And, like, that low barrier of entry that we were talking about before is just slowly going to disappear.
So, but I guess let's wrap this back around, because I kind of breached into it there with what my answer would be for it when I said the end game for you. What it like as far as Dreams the platform, what's the end game for your interaction with it?
I'm not thinking about an end game really. I just like using it, and I want to be able to keep using it. And like I talked about, maybe it'd be great if I could I would spend a lot more times in Dreams if I could sell my stuff. I would make more ambitious things, because the time would be a lot more worth it, I think. But I don't really know. With Dreams, because like I said, I'm just a hobbyist game dev, so it's all about the fun of creating for me mostly. And I can already do that. It's already fun to create. I just want to keep doing that, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like, right now, if people are willing to go that extra mile, there are ways to get paid for your stuff. You just have to not wait for Media Molecule to make it easy for you. I mean, especially with things like I can't talk about certain things because I don't want Jamie to start giving me eyes.
Yeah, my eyes are already staring at you.
Don't you do it.
Don't go splurging out my whole entire plan for everything.
No. See, you just gave away more than I was planning to. But anyway, right. But yeah, I feel like there are ways, and I was going to say, once again, Martin Nebelong, but, how he did a commercial for a company using Dreams. And even if you're not into necessarily doing commercials or anything, if you have the capability, especially with what you can do with logic and letters and the growth of, what do they call it, whiteboard animation at this point, make money. You don't have to wait for Dreams on that.
I mean, for animation, short films, music, artwork, for all the other aspects of Dreams, basically, apart from game development, every other aspect of media, you can already do everything you want to do with it. You can export the music, you can export your video. You could use Dreams as a commercial platform like Martin Nebelong does to create videos for people, because you already have the ability to export it. The only thing that is restricted is the games. Everything else, you can take it off and do what you will with it. So if you're already into creating short films or music or artwork, there's nothing stopping you. You can go full out with everything. You can sell your stuff. You can use yourself as a contractor to create stuff for other people. Don't let Dreams restrict you in that manner, because you already have the capability to do all of that. The only thing that is restricted on Dreams is games.
Captain Morgan came out and said, RBD, you can do a Kickstarter for a passion project game. I mean, yeah, you could, but at the same time, I also feel like
I don't want two sides to that coin.
Yeah, no, it's for me. It's more so I'm trying not to get to have Jamie look at me real weird, but I feel like he said, your game. I'm going blank. God damn it.
The problem with it is, regardless whether someone supports you on Kickstarter, if you're passionate enough to build that game, regardless of how many Kickstarter or, say, Patreons you have supporting you for it, regardless, the game is going to go out for free anyway, because it's the only way that it can do on Dreams. Yeah. So that's where my sort of with Kickstarter and Patreons, although the idea is clever, and yes, people would support you if they believed in your project anyway, you're always going to have those people that are like, well, why should I back you when the project's going to be released for free anyway?
I mean, a lot of YouTubers use Patreon, don't they? And all those videos are free.
Very good point.
Yeah. I mean, I just think that if, just the bottom line, it's like if they know what you can do, and it makes sense, then you probably have places you can take even what you've already made, is what I want to get at. It's like if I was a small, a company, and I saw a little perspective, and I had a mobile division, I feel like you could really already take what you've done and see money. But that's just my thought. Yeah.
Well, we've really gone into the whole marketing aspect of dreams on this episode again.
Yeah, I didn't expect it.
We seem to do that a lot lately.
Well, it's kind of we're evolving past the whole, what does dreams mean to you? Like we're evolving past that,
and it's like, where do you want your money?
Now it's like, you want that money? You want them greenbacks? Like yeah. I mean, but yeah, I mean, I just know I've seen so much talent in this community that I understand, and I agree with RBD where he says like people would go and try to do bigger things if they saw, to put it in my terms, the end game. And I think that's one of the biggest things that Media Molecule does need to focus on is like people need an end game. They need to know that if they put in 9 months on a game, which is like at least, but if they put in that amount of time, that at the end it won't just be for thumbs ups that they might get if people can get through the memes to see what they created.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? I mean, it's just evolution at this point, and I'm sure Media Molecule have already had endless conversations about this, but the more popular Dreams gets and the bigger the creations on Dreams get, the more demand to export or monetize their content is going to come up. And at this point, if Dreams continues on the pace that it's going with the quality content that is being published on Dreams, it's going to turn around real quick. And they're going to need to put a solution in place. Because if people are willing to put in the time and effort into these games, they can't expect people to not be able to do anything with it. And it's going to be a difficult call for Media Molecule. And I'm glad I've said it before, I'm glad I'm not in that office, on that chair, trying to come up with the best solution of how to make this work. But something has got to give. Something's got to happen. And it's going to be really interesting to see what it is that they do.
Okay. Javork said, why all this talk about big games? Short and sweet is just as good. Just look at RBD's games. I agree with you. But just like a Kevin Costner film, sometimes your scale just exceeds the normal runtime. Okay, it just does. Like if you have a game that fits into that package, oh, God bless you. God bless you. Yes. Lord knows I agree with old Joe. Like it's sometimes the short and sweet that really gets it across, but there still needs to be a venue on the other side. There needs to be a balance. There needs to be a thing where if someone goes, like, I think one of the saddest things a Media Molecule employee could hear is, I want to do it in Dreams, but the scale's not big enough, or Dreams isn't big enough for my idea. I think that would depress me if I was a Media Molecule developer. And so I feel like there has to be a balance. Like if you want short and sweet, by all means, do it. It doesn't make it lesser because it's short. But if somebody has a big idea, I don't want to tell them that they can't do it. That's how I feel about it. So, I mean, I agree with you, but then again, I don't. I guess is where I'm sitting in. It's like I agree. I do agree. But then I feel like there has to be that other side, and
there has to be, because otherwise, these people that have these great ideas are going to go elsewhere for it. And that's basically, if someone has this idea, they've got a team of 10 people willing to collaborate on this project, and they're like, okay, we're going to make this 30-hour campaign game. And then they go, well, wait, we're going to be limited to this very small, tightly knitted community, or we can take this idea with Unreal and branch it out to the world. It's just common sense at that point. And I don't think Media Molecule want people to obviously move to other platforms, because Dreams has the ability to create those massive games. I mean, geez, you can put 100 levels within a level, within a dream, within a dream, within a dream. You can like Inception the crap out of it. The length of the game is not the issue. You know, you can create these massive games or you can create these short games, but the issue is the audience that you're reaching is completely limited.
Yeah.
Makes no difference the size of the game. It's the audience.
Yeah. I mean, I agree. I agree. So, no, I'm not
So
going to. Go
I
ahead.
also want to say though that like it's not all about the audience for a lot of people. Like Dreams is amazing if you just have fun creating. Like MM did like so like we're ragging on like, oh, you don't get a big enough audience because Dreams is on its platform or you don't get paid or whatever. But like that aside, Dreams is so good. Like it's amazing how good Dreams is. It's ridiculous.
I mean, by all means, like, don't get it twisted. Like everything I've done in Dreams has been purely to prove to myself that I can do it. I've enjoyed failing at logic. I've enjoyed failing at trying to translate my art style into Dreams, but I'm still working on it. Like, I agree with you. Like, those who wish to create just to create, which creators do, that's a sentence. Like,
Wow.
yeah, like it's there for them.
Yeah, the thing is like
it's the real world as well.
yeah, if it stays like where that's the main drawing power, then Dreams is just going to remain like a super niche, tight knit community. Yeah. Like there won't be a lot of expansion. So only so many people that create for the fun of creating, I think.
Yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, definitely. But then there is something to be said for, if you feel like. I feel so different from a lot of people in the Dreams community because I'm talking about film and like because I talk about film a lot, and not that there aren't other filmmakers. There's some really great ones, and we've had them on the show. But I wouldn't say that I do it for the fans. I do it because I love it, but I feel like there's nothing wrong with reaching outside of Dreams. Like if it's not there, like, and as you said earlier, it's easy to do that with, film and animation and music, not so much with games as of yet. But yeah, like, I mean, I enjoy the act of creating, but I prove to myself I can do it. And then I want people to be able to see it no matter what. Not so that they can, blow smoke up my ass. Like it's just so I can, just so I can get more of a feedback. Like people hate me when it comes to like movies because I don't accept statements such as like, "Oh, I just didn't like it." That like no, nothing bothers me more than that statement because I want to know why. Even if I didn't make it, I want to know why. I'm like, was this character off? Was this plot point off? And I'm going into something completely random, I know, but it's just, there is something to growing when you have the community and the Dreams community tenant. But it like there is something to growing when you have the community. I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to get the biggest community you can have. Is basically my end point. I'll just circumvent all the other 20 minutes of blowharding I was about to do.
I just want to just clear up my whole summary of this so people don't get the wrong impression of me. Dreams is everything to me. And I know I've been badgering on about all the commercial side of Dreams and exporting and things. I mean, but Dreams is absolutely amazing. And I wouldn't have what I have now if it weren't for Dreams. I mean, we've created Lucid Nebula Studios. We have, I think, 10 members now in our studio creating our current title. And that would have never been possible without Dreams, because Dreams community is just absolutely amazing. People are just willing to collab, and these 9 other people that I've approached as basically handed over all their spare time to work on this project. And I don't think I would have ever found that type of commitment in another platform. because they're commercialized. Like, if I said to 9 other people, hey, I want you to spend all of your spare time working on this project and I want you to do it for free, they're going to tell me where to shove it. Let's be honest. But
Yeah.
because it streams and because it's so communitized and collaborative, and it's just something that people love to do because it's fun, people are willing to spend the time on it. And that's what I love about Dreams so much. However, I am a potentialist, and I see the potential in people as well as products. And because I'm so passionate about Dreams and because I love it so much, I can see how further Dreams can go. And I don't want Media Molecule to be capped by that. I want Dreams to go as far as it can go, because if it's given me so much now,
Unless
I
it
can
goes to PC.
yeah, well, I mean, I get, you ruined my flow. Like, it's given me so much now. I can only imagine how much more it could give me if they expand beyond what they're at now. And that's basically where I'm at with it. I'm not bashing Dreams at all. I want it to go all the way because I love it so much and I support it so much, and I want it to do and be its fullest.
Yeah,
So,
just basically, you don't want what's been going on Twitter as far as the theme of this week being that Dreams is dying. You don't want that to be a reality in actuality.
I don't want it to die because
Yeah.
it's so unique. People have tried to do what Dreams have done before and failed miserably, whereas Dreams, in my opinion, is a huge success. It may be a small player base right now. I mean, there's like 1 million players on Dreams, but technically there isn't, because every time I check in dreams.me throughout the day, it caps out at like 2,000-3,000 players that's online. But I just don't want it to die because it's so good and it has so much potential, and they've built this such an amazing community. And if Dreams died, it would break my heart, because I mean, I live for it. I mean, just on our Twitter, on the Lucid Nebula Twitter, I'm talking to Dreamers all day long. And these people are just so passionate and just so willing to talk to you about their games and talk to them about our stuff and what you're working on and what other people's made. It's just such a lovely place. It's just like this. It's in its own little world. There's no hatred. There's no politics. There's nothing. It's just pure creative love. And it's just so good. And I don't want it to die.
It's actually pretty crazy how, like, not toxic the Dreams community is, considering how everything being shared is so, like, personal in a way. And yeah, everybody's so positive about everything. Do you think that if the community were to grow, do you think that aspect would suffer, or do you think it would continue to be like such a high quality community?
That is such a good question.
It would definitely suffer.
Oh, I don't know.
But how much do you love it? I think that's the real trick. It has no choice, bro.
I think the thing is, if Dreams is going to grow, it's only going to grow with the people that love it as much as the people love it now. People's going to come and go. People come in, try it. It's not for them. They'll leave. The people that will stay is the ones that are like the whole community now, that just absolutely love the thing to bits. And if the community was to grow, you would see it grow really small with those type of people, because you're going to get dropouts with anything. But the people that stick with Dreams is the people that just love Dreams for what it is and just love the past creations of Media Molecule. So it will grow, but I think it will be a really small growing stage. I don't think they're just going to wake up one day with 500,000 more players. It's just going to be a really small increment of players, and because it's small, people get attached to other people's creations and talking to other people, and it'll just grow organically like that.
So with that being the case, do you think it could stay that way? You know what? I'm not even gonna go down that. We'll save that for another episode. Because that's a dark door. Because I hope that you're right, and I hope that our community is so good that it's incorruptible. I would love to think that, but I think a lot of the other things we've talked about today make that impossible. It's kind of like, for instance, nowhere near the same type of game, but League of Legends. League of Legends is notoriously toxic. Okay? And I remember a time when it wasn't. And the moment money came in, the moment it became an e-sport and it got opened up to the masses, it became so much. When you got sports fans, it became toxic. And I feel like if you do bring it, even though it won't be sports fans, but if you do the things we've talked about so far as the monetization of things, you're going to bring in the people that are only there for the money. Like, yeah, they may be good. They may be good at the game, or good at building, good at dreaming. But just just that aspect of their venture, I feel like will poison the community.
That's a very good subject. Well, we're going to have to delve deeper into it.
I told you we should have waited, but no, you wanted to know. No, I'm just So
that's a whole episode in itself.
Yeah, and because I would love to believe that what Dreams is now, even if it got bigger, it'll remain this. It'll remain the fact that I can go on Twitter, say #DreamsPS4, and talk to like-minded people that are all creating their own thing. And my timeline has never been so mind-blowing in my life. I wasn't even really on Twitter until like, I'd say about 5 months ago. I had one, but I wasn't on it. But now I go there every day. I check it more than anything. Like, to some people's dismay, even more than my Discord. And so, I mean, I would hope that it's that what you say is true. Maybe it's just the darkness within me. Maybe maybe it just thinks it's all gonna fall. But anyway. So let's get back. RBD, do you have? Are you? I've heard you talk about how you're building all this stuff, but it seems like you're building it alone. Is that by design, or is it just me not really reading the tea leaves right?
I sometimes get collaborators for specific things. Like Freakers makes the music a lot in some of my stuff. And I use I'm really bad at sculpting and painting and anything visual, so I use a lot of assets from the community and a little perspective. I defined a voice actor. So like generally, like I said, I like to lead the design, and I'm decent with logic, so I can implement most of the stuff I need myself. And everything that isn't like visuals, I'm passable at. Like I can animate, I can make music, I can do sound design, kind of. So I tend to go at it alone. It's usually if I find something specific that I want to improve and I can't just kind of hunt down community assets for, then I'll try to find someone to collaborate with.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I just didn't know if you were, because you had also brought up the Witness, and I can't remember that guy's name. Is it something Blow?
Jonathan Blow.
Jonathan Blow. Yeah. Because he seems to have that, or it feels like he has that thing where it's just like he's making it off where he's doing things, and then he brings it out whenever it's done. Where I just didn't know if you had like a crew, you got a posse you run around Dreams with that you mess with, or are you also trying to more of like the lone developer?
I think I'm more of a lone developer type. Although Jonathan Blow has a team now. I think he made like Braid with one other person doing the art, and that was when he was like alone. But for The Witness, he had a team of like 7 people.
Braid. Really?
I don't know how many. Alone too. Yeah, he has a studio now, and they're like all doing
good
stuff.
For him.
Yeah.
See, and hopefully once everything blows up and then RBD and he gets his crew and he has his own studio, he'll still come back. He'll still come back and tell us how he did it here on the Made in Dreams podcast.
Absolutely.
So, everything alone for Stardew Valley. Yeah, I mean, a lot of people do it, and I just didn't know if that was the vibe that I was getting, or if it's, you know, if I was completely off, and he was just like, yeah, I'm just making games. I don't, you know.
Yeah, since I'm like a hobbyist, and sometimes I just don't feel like playing Dreams for stretches of time, and like I feel like if I have a team of collaborators and I just take random breaks like that, I don't want to let them down. So then it's just a bunch of pressure on me to like keep churning stuff out in Dreams, and like I don't know. I feel like it's better to stay alone until, if I need something that needs improving, then at least do enough on my end of things that like they have a solid foundation that they can do whatever without having to wait on me to do certain things.
You know, I feel that. I feel that real strong right now, because I'm like, I had started up something, and Disobey Gaming, who's in chat, was like, hey, could you do, or can you provide this? And I was like, well, my art style is like there, and there is no more than that. So I was like, man, I really should have done something in Dreams maybe to try to flesh that out a little bit more for him. So I definitely feel that. But
there's like I mentioned that like super ambitious idea I have, and there is there's this artist on Dreams that like I really like their style, and I want them to make all of my art for me for this super ambitious project, but like I've not done nearly enough on this project yet to start asking for collaborators. So I'm just like sitting there looking at their art, and I'm like, I want it, but I can't talk to them yet because I have nothing. So I just kind of have to sit there and watch them keep posting like pretty pictures.
So I have a question for you that I haven't yet asked, and for someone like yourself, it's really interesting to see the difference in audience. And I don't want to get into statistics or numbers or anything like that. I just want sort of a broad answer to it. So with Sensorium, you've obviously released that out on Steam. It's an outside of Dreams project. It never touched Dreams in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
How has the audience for Sensorium and sales for Sensorium reflected against the audience that you have on Dreams for your games that are there? Do you have a bigger audience in Dreams, or have you gained like a much bigger following for Sensorium? Because obviously outside of Dreams, the market is so wide, I assume it's much difficult to get an audience. Where Dreams is more closed off, more people are open to your project. So how do you find the difference, seeming as you physically released a game for sale?
So outside of Dream, well, I don't know how true this is anymore, but like I guess when I started out in Dreams, it was really easy to find an audience because there weren't a lot of people in the beta. Like quite a lot of my followers I got because I got Media Molecule's attention with my stuff, and then they kept featuring my stuff, and I have like 2 things in Pick Up and Play right now, so I get a lot of followers from that. So like I definitely have a bigger following in Dreams. Outside of Dreams, when you publish an indie game, it's like very important that you market correctly and that you advertise and that you build up a fan base before you release it. But because I'm a hobbyist and I do not enjoy doing any of that ever, I skipped that step. So it hasn't sold a lot. Like it's sold probably like a few hundred copies, which I guess is pretty good for like not telling a lot of people about it.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah, I definitely say that's a success.
Yeah. And like so like I knew that would happen, like releasing it, because I skipped the advertising step. But like the thing that was up in the air was like, are people actually gonna like it when they play it? And it seems like they do. Like it's gotten I think like 21 out of it has 22 reviews on Steam so far, and only one of them is negative. So
oh wow, that's really good.
Yeah. So I'm happy about that.
Well,
it's interesting to see the difference, because you've obviously, it's quite different for a guest like yourself. I mean, the other guests that we have on the show are pretty much dreamers and dreamers alone, whereas you've ventured into both sides of the world of game development. You know, you've built games in conventional engines and released them on platforms, and then you also have the dream side of it. So it's really interesting to sort of see both sides of the coin and how different those worlds are between each other.
Yeah.
But it seems like you prefer the Dreamiverse as opposed to regular game development for both
Yeah.
community and development purposes.
Definitely. Yeah. But I would love to see it grow.
Yeah. I think all of us would
Yeah.
love to see it grow. What is it? Grow. Anyway, so the point I'm just being weird for no reason. Before we continue, because we didn't do this last week, I would like to go into the pick of the week, which Jammy is going to take over for us. But the pick of the week is Ethan Goes to Work by Colosseman. I guess it's how, I hope that's how he says his name. So yeah, take us from here, Jamie.
So this game is really unique, and I just love the storyline of it. It's just so weird and wacky, and I don't know what it is about it. It's just like you just have this cute character, and he's just trying to get to work, and then all these things go wrong, and it's like this candy-styled universe, and it none of it makes sense, but that's what makes it so great. Is, you know, you're just trying to get to your job, and then all these weird things happen. There's aliens and all the I don't know even how to explain it. It's just such a strange creation, and I love the mind of the person that has created it. They've just thought, let's just make a really basic concept of someone trying to get to work, and let's just make it a completely crazy path to get there, and you got to fight all these different characters, and all these things go wrong, and it's just controlled chaos is what it is, and it's absolutely fantastic.
What I appreciated the most about it is that it feels complete.
Yes.
Like, you know, anybody could look at it and be like, you know, well, let me say that in a different way, because that's probably sounded really disrespectful. When I say complete, I mean, the style might not be for everyone, but everything feels like it fits together so well. Like when I was playing this, I felt really like I was playing a movie, and that really did something for me. And I feel like even though you have this, like the candy like world and all that stuff, it all makes sense. Like the style is absolutely complete is what I'm trying to say. Like you feel like everything fits in this world, even though, like you said, it feels like everything is weird and almost off. So,
But in a good way.
Yeah, it's like a cohesion, a perfect cohesion of style and execution. So
it is brilliant, and if you haven't tried it, definitely 100% get this on your playlist. It is one, I would say it's definitely a gem on Dreams. It's one of those games where you play it and you're like, yeah, this is what I've come to Dreams for. This is the type of stuff that I expected to see in Dreams. It's because, you know, you don't expect to see this kind of stuff outside of Dreams for sale, because it's such a huge risk for people to create this kind of stuff. But there's no risk with Dreams. And this is the content that I expect to see from it, because yes, it's weird, and yes, it's wacky, but it works. And it works because the creator has no problems with going weird with it, because they have no reason not to, because it's Dreams. And that's what's literally, this game is the epiphany for me of what Dreams is. It's just a weird, wonderful, beautiful thing, and everybody should just go play it.
I love that he has a briefcase that he's like
his
main weapon.
Yeah. He's just whacking all these aliens with his briefcase. It's brilliant.
Yeah. So, if you haven't, go check out Ethan Goes to Work. as well as, let's get back to the interview here, as well as anything that RBD Jellyfish has put out, because it's pretty much all great. And by pretty much, I mean I haven't played everything from you, so I don't want to blow up your head, before I've really, test everything. But from what I've played, I mean, I would say this guy fucks. I mean, that's just, I would say, So, Jamie, I know I've kind of stifled you this time because I was going off into so many different areas of conversation. But, do you have anything else that you need to get out to RBD other than undying appreciation for taking his time to spend it with us?
No,
while we berate him with topics.
I think I'm ready to get off the knee now.
Yeah.
It's kind of hurt. It's kind of hurting.
Yeah. Next time I got to remember those knee pads and shin guards.
Yeah.
Gots to.
So are we?
Well, I was gonna close off, but I was gonna give RBD time to talk to the people. Tell us what's coming. Tell us what's coming next, or if you have an inspirational speech you'd like to give to the Dreamiverse, that I can clip out later and put on the internet. If there's anything else you want to say, now's the time.
I mean, thank you for all the kind words, first of all. And I guess as far as words of inspiration go, if anyone else agrees, and like, if you think my stuff is really great, and if by some chance that intimidates you or something, like if you get on Dreams and you play good stuff and you're like, I'll never be able to make something like this, just again, remember I started making games like 16 years ago pretty much, and a lot of the stuff I do is not wizardry, it's just a lot of experience. So it's good to feel inspired, but don't feel intimidated by things that might be like, try not to compare yourself to others too much. And like, you'll get there eventually, pretty much. If you just stick with it, you'll make great things.
Thanks, man. I really felt like you were talking to me right there. Like, I did. I was like, he's right. Logic won't be my downfall forever. I can get better. Thanks, man. And I hope you did have fun on the podcast. I feel like we were a little sporadic this week, but I hope you enjoyed yourself.
It was great. Thanks for having me.
Indeed. And always know that you can come back. If you ever want to come back, you feel like there's some burning topic in the Dreamiverse that you just need to get off your chesticles, you can come get them off your chesticles here, okay?
All right, next episode, I'll be back. Thanks.
Oh, next episode. He's like, I already see the problem coming. So,
well,
Jamie?
Before we sign off, there is one more element of news that I think we need to share with the community. Don't you?
Are we sure though?
I think we're ready.
Okay.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, as some of you may know, if you follow us on Twitter, we have been working on our project that is currently codenamed Project Zero. And a lot of you guys have been asking for updates and asking what it is that we're creating, because we've been, I say me. We've been very tightly cut off with letting out any information on what it is that we're doing. And that's my fault. Will's wanted to share stuff to so many people. I'm just like, no, you cannot go there. But
two people. two people. You said so many people.
Listen,
like I'm trying to whore our project around.
Listen. 2 people is 2 people too many. Okay. All right. But anyway, so as you know, we've been working on Project Zero, and a lot of you guys have been asking for some information about it. And I'm pleased to say that next week we will be able to share something with you. And I think you're going to love it.
The classic announcement of an announcement.
Yeah.
See, that's what I'm trying to avoid. but Just to be sure, we hopefully we will have something pretty big for y'all. But yeah, we just have to we have to satiate the god known as Jammy James, and once he's satiated, then we can talk to the rest of you.
But yeah, just keep an eye out. Next week we're going to be dropping something.
Look, I actually want to ask one more question because I don't want the chat to feel like we're not paying attention to them. Eddie asked, "Can I ask you something about animation?" And I'm going to give you a chance to type it out now, Eddie. Go ahead and ask the question, and we're going to get an answer from RBD. Go ahead and type it out, bro.
Oh, I bet he's viciously typing right now.
I know you faster than this.
Might already be typing it on like Discord or something.
Don't try to hit me. Just hit me. Come on. I know you're. I know you're faster than this. Believe. But I don't know. We'll have to see because I think you blew the load too fast, bro.
No,
I think you did. I think you're gonna pull out like 2 whips now, and you're just gonna be swinging whips at all of us. Get it done. And I feel like crunch time is upon me now. Will we see a sequel to Zelda?
No.
Yes.
All right, so Eddie's actually here. He said, "I've tried with rotators, but the keyframe cancels out the rotators."
Wait, is there more context to that?
Yeah.
Oh wait, sorry, there is more.
Is there?
Is that?
Yeah.
No.
So I tried grouping it and put the rotator on the group.
Did you like try to send a message that was too long and like Twitch ate it? Because it seems like.
Oh my God, this is so messy.
I love it.
This is like the messiest episode we've ever had.
This is what we live for.
I would just say, like, ask me with a Twitter DM or something.
Yeah.
I feel put on the spot to have to answer like a Dreams Logic question live.
He's going to do Dreams Logic live, and he can't get it wrong because people's watching.
Oh God, he's still trying. But the actual keyframe in position always cancels out. Cancels out.
Ooh, logic.
Ooh, logic. It always cancels out. Ooh, logic. And all right. Well, we're gonna go ahead.
I guess I'll help you later. Yeah.
We're gonna end this. Go ahead and hit this man up on Twitter. And we'll be back next week with RBD Jellyfish to answer this question once we get it all out. And we know what's being. All right.
And by the end of next week, we might not have Lucid W Studios because I'm going to torture these guys now to make sure that this commitment comes out.
See, I knew it. You were going to try to murder us to make sure this thing gets done. I told you might have been. Look, anyway, so we're going to go ahead and shift over to the main man, Mr. Wushi. And I hope everyone enjoyed the podcast. I don't think messy was how I would. Oh, my God. There is an ad that just tried to come in over our podcast because you know what? Never mind.
Do you really want to take back what you just said about it being messy?
Yeah, all right, yeah, I think I need to because I'm going to tell you, like, things are unmuting and all types of stuff. So, you know what? Thank you, everybody, for being here for the podcast. RBD Jellyfish, I really do hope you enjoyed your time and, you know, we didn't hit you from too many awkward angles.
No, it was fun.
Good. That's all that matters. That's all that matters is if he had fun. So I feel like we have accomplished it. And like I said, feel free to come back anytime. Later.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.